Good evening, guys, and happy Wednesday to all of your sunshiny faces. So guys, I should have a Jewel and Meyer, both of those grocery stores. I should have that haul for you guys tomorrow. My dad has kind of been driving around a lot the last 2 days, so today was the only day where, other than football and to work, he didn't have to go anywhere else. So he ended up kind of not wanting to really do a whole ton this evening. So I also didn't have my grocery lists finished either, which I did do today. I got both of those grocery lists done. I also did a bunch of stuff for dinner today too, and also ended up doing some laundry. So I got to some things, which was awesome. But as far as grocery schedule goes, like I said, it looks like I should have Meyer and Jewel for you guys tomorrow, and then Friday, because of the football game, which I told you guys is not the official football game, first football game of the season, but they're kind of treating it like that. Like, there'll be fans in the stands, and you know, they're doing the whole operation as if it's a regular football game, other than, I think I told you guys, like, they're still gonna have real referees, but they're treating it more like a scrimmage, and they're not gonna do, like, I think kickoffs and stuff like that, and maybe punts, but I think they're still kicking field goals and like that kind of thing. But either way, they are treating it like it's gonna be a real football game. So we're preparing for that, and since I'm doing the camera, Jack and my dad are coaching, you know, we got the whole kind of thing going on Friday. So I won't have anything for you guys then, but then, I mean, more than likely. The thing is, though, is that for the varsity, now Jack has to be there for the frost-off game, but also too, because it's a scrimmage, I don't know when the official start time is, if it's going to be like a regular game. I'm kind of thinking it is, and since I have to be there, I should probably know this, but as of right now, I don't. So, but the thing is that on Fridays, though, because it is, the varsity game starts later, and my dad coaches at varsity, Jack coaches more of the frost-off kids, although I think he's coaching both frost-off and varsity possibly, but I don't really know, because like, he just coaches a position group, and like, I mean, my dad does kind of too as well, but he's kind of like second as far as like offense goes. Like, the head coach is the head coach of the whole football team, but then he also does like the offensive stuff, and my dad coaches offensive line, and then so like my dad's kind of like number 2, and then like as far as like varsity goes also, but like Jack coaches the linebackers in the position group, and he's more of like an actual coach for the frost-off team, whereas like I don't know if he's gonna be like traveling with the team to and from the games and like that kind of stuff either, because like some of the times, if it's an away game, some of the coaches leave with the frost-off kids and then go back to the school versus staying for the varsity game. So like I said, I don't really know. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think so, because like he didn't do it last year, but his position kind of changed a little bit as well. But again, like I said, I don't entirely know, and like if Jack is there, then he might just be on the sidelines, or again too, kind of just coaching his position group. But like, because again too, there is some coaches that also coach position groups for the varsity, but they also coach the frost-off kids, and they're more of like there's one coach that's like the head coach of the frost-off team, but then I think he also might coach like a certain position as well, and then he coaches that for both the frost-off and the varsity, kind of like the head coach, how I said he coaches like the offense, and you know, like also is the coach of the entire team. So again, I don't really entirely know how that works, or you know, like I said, what that looks like for Jack going forward, since his role has kind of changed a little bit. I realized where I was kind of going with the whole thing, or where I started with the whole thing, but either way, the football game is on Friday, and again too, Jack and my dad coaching, and you know, me also having to be there for the camera work and all that kind of stuff as well. So anyways, like I said, that's what it looks like on Friday. Oh, back to my point. Okay, I did remember it. The point is that, because the varsity, though, my dad is normally not there for the frost-off team, like for when they go, especially if they're going away, like if it's an away game, my dad travels with the varsity team versus traveling with the frost-off team. So like Jack travels with the frost-off team and then normally stays through the varsity game, and it's like the opposite, whereas my dad goes and leaves with the varsity team and then comes back with the varsity team. So it's a little bit different, but he doesn't have to leave as early as like Jack does. And even for the frost off, they still don't, it's not like immediately right after school at like 3 o'clock like practices. It's normally a little bit later because I think their game doesn't start until maybe 5 o'clock or something. And then the varsity I think starts at 7 o'clock. So my dad sometimes is back like later, or doesn't have to leave until kind of later. But again too, if it's a home game though, a lot of times him and Jack leave at the same time anyway. But if it's an away game, Jack has to leave on the bus and my dad doesn't, and the varsity kids don't get there until then anyway. But sometimes again too, like my dad will still be there for the frost off team like game if it's not an away game, if it's a home game, which this week we're at home because we're hosting that scrimmage. So the only thing is, like I said, he might go to like Tony's and Caputo's possibly on Friday, just because he doesn't have to. I mean, he will be though, because it's a home game this week. So I don't know. I don't even know if the frost off team is playing though, because it is like a scrimmage game, and the way they used to do these scrimmage games was kind of like a showcase, and they would do it for like a lot of different sports. Like sometimes they would have like the track team out there and they would just like race against themselves and stuff like that, or they might have like the volleyball team, and Matthew did this too. They did it at like the start of like the spring sports though, because Matthew played like boys, you know, volleyball, and they would do the same thing too. But Matthew came back the following year after he graduated, because they did like the same type of thing, and it was like the alumni versus like the current like volleyball team. So you know, like they would have all of them play together, and then against the like varsity team, you know, like of the volleyball kids. So I don't know exactly like if they're doing the same thing this year too. Like the girls volleyball will be playing too, but they play in the gym. I think sometimes they'll have like the tennis team out there too. It's just kind of like a showcase of all the different sports, and like more of like a parents night kind of like kickoff to the season type thing, but it's not really like a pep rally type thing either. So like I said, it's just kind of like, you know, again, like a light showcase of the spring sports, or I'm sorry, this was fall sports. But like I said, Matthew did the spring sports for volleyball, but he also did this for football when he played as well. The only thing that's different though is that we're scrimmaging in different school and not ourselves, which is what they do a lot of times. So like I said, that's kind of the only difference I think. So, but I don't know if that means that the frost off team is playing, or if they're not playing, or if they're maybe just doing like a scrimmage thing against themselves earlier before the varsity team does, or what it looks like. So again, I don't even know if we don't have to be there until what normally would be like a 7 o'clock, like, you know, that's normally when the varsity game starts. It depends though, like on the school. Sometimes if there's like travel times and stuff like that, if there's like a team coming from a really far way away, or if we're going to a school that's a very long ways away, sometimes the times can be a little bit different. And also too, depending on weather, sometimes they have moved games like further up, or you know, like back, you know, depending on weather stuff as well. So again, I don't entirely know what's going on Friday. All I know is I have to be there just for the varsity game. But on an occasion, again, my dad might be able to stop at Tony's and Caputo's on Friday after work, but before the football game. But I don't know if that's going to happen this week, or even any of the weeks going forward, but it is a possibility, because he doesn't have to be there right after work like he does with the football practices. And again too, going forward in the future, since this is the first kind of week, even though it's not the official first game, like Wednesdays will probably go to Meyer, and then my dad will hopefully be able to do Tony's and Caputo's on Thursday, because on Thursdays when they do the team dinner, and I think that ends normally a little bit earlier, I believe, so he has some extra time to be able to do that too, but he'd have to do it after football practice anyway. So either way though, it's a little bit weird, and I will have Jewel and Meyer for you guys tomorrow, and then at some point Tony's and Caputo's, and then at some point during the week or weekend or whatever, we'll run to Aldi to get the other stuff that we need. But I should have those hauls for you guys tomorrow. I guess that's the gist of the whole story. But yeah, I'm kind of excited, and I don't know, kind of nervous at the same time, because I told you guys how it's not always been an easy process with this camera. Like, and it's not that it's difficult, it's just that sometimes random stuff ends up happening with the camera that like shouldn't, and sometimes there's problems that all of a sudden like will fix themselves. This already happened in the like summer camp scrimmage stuff that they were doing too, like, you know, like my screen will go blue, or my controller like to move the camera won't work, then all of a sudden it works. Like, of course it's after I text like the coach and I'm like, oh, this thing isn't working, and then it goes ahead and works on its own. Then I look dumb because I'm like, I swear like 2 minutes ago it wasn't working and now all of a sudden it's working again. Like, yeah. So anyways, there's, you know, like that. It's just that, like, it's weird. At the beginning of the season last year, I felt like everything was kind of going pretty smoothly. And it was like the end of the season, things just were not working. And then the 2 scrimmages that we had so far, though, this year were just, like, because of the heat we had problems, and also too because they didn't have it set up like they normally do for the football games. It was just that I had to record like manually versus I don't have to do that during the actual game. So the whole process was a little bit different for like the scrimmages that we had over the summer, which were kind of like testing for me, you know, to kind of test it out, see if I remember everything from last year, which going forward on Fridays will be easier than what I had to kind of do over the summer, so that's good. But again, like I said, it's just, it seems like whenever I get close to the camera, stuff ends up randomly happening. And they're like, this wasn't a problem, we just set it up like, you know, earlier today, or, you know, like they'll test run it sometimes on Thursday and stuff like that. And then sure enough, I get next to the camera, it's like everything stops working. I'm not doing anything that they're like not telling me to do. I'm not like hitting random buttons or messing with cords or, you know, like anything like that. But like it's the exact way they taught me to do it, and everything's fine, and you know, for the most part and stuff like that. But then stuff just like randomly stops working, and you know, so yeah, I don't know. But hopefully this season starts out at least the same way that it did last season. And like even the last game of the season last year was also perfect. Like everything pretty much worked perfectly fine. I had literally no troubles. So I'm hoping that that is the result for Friday and no major problems, because like I said, I always feel so bad, and I'm like, I wish that it wasn't me, but I don't know if it's like, you know, again, I don't believe that I'm doing anything. I think that it's just sometimes the camera equipment, and it's just weird and wonky and stuff. So anyways, though, I will see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see y'all for sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.